They said she wasn't built for the field. Too soft, too quiet. But quiet has a way of echoing, especially when it's followed by a single shot that changes everything. It started on a dusty training range in Arizona, under a sky so white-hot it blurred the mountains. The recruits were restless, laughing, tossing brass casings like coins. And in the middle of them stood a woman named Leah Grant, sleeves rolled up, freckles burned deep by the sun, a borrowed rifle in her hands, and the weight of their laughter pressing down on her shoulders. Before I tell you what happened next, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I love knowing who's listening. The range instructor barked out orders, his voice dry and cutting. Next shooter. Let's see if little Miss Librarian here can even hold that thing steady. The men laughed. Leah said nothing. She just stepped forward, slow and deliberate, her boots crunching over the gravel. A breeze swept past, tugging at her hair. The smell of gun oil and dust filled her lungs. She'd been here before, not this exact range, but others like it, long ago, before everything went quiet. Before she'd walked away from a world that never quite fit her. Her father had taught her to shoot when she was 12. Not for sport, not for fun, for calm. Breathing is your bullet, Leah, he used to say. If you can control that, you can control anything. Now, years later, those words were all she had left of him. Targets at 500 yards, the instructor called. 5 rounds. You've got 30 seconds. Leah nodded once that a recruit whispered to his friend. She won't even hit paper. The friend chuckled. Maybe she'll hit the sun. The laughter rolled again, easy and cruel. But Leah didn't hear it. The moment she dropped to her knee, the noise of the world dimmed. Her heartbeat synced with the trigger's weight. The barrel lined up, smooth, silent, and in the shimmering heat, the mirage of the target became a single, steady truth. Crack. The first shot hit. Dead center. The laughter stopped. Crack. Another hit by the third round. No one was talking. The instructor's jaw had gone slack. By the fifth, the air felt heavier, charged. Dust rose from the ground like smoke, hanging there, refusing to settle. She stood up, brushed the dirt from her knee, and quietly said, "Next." The recruits shifted uneasily. One of them forced a laugh. Beginner's luck. But his voice faltered halfway through. 2 days later, word spread. The quiet girl had hit 5 for 5 at 500 yards. Then 800. Then 1,000. Each time, the same calm precision, like her rifle was an extension of her breath. The men started watching, not laughing. A few even asked questions, awkwardly, respectfully. But it wasn't until the colonel arrived that everything truly changed. Colonel James Halden, retired Navy SEAL sniper, now serving as an advisor for elite marksmanship programs, visited the range to observe the recruits. He'd trained soldiers who'd hit targets in war zones most people couldn't even pronounce. His eyes missed nothing. When he heard about Leah, he didn't smile, didn't scoff. He simply said, "Let me see her shoot." The morning he arrived, the air was colder. The desert wind carried the scent of rain, rare, electric. The recruits lined up, stiff with nerves. Leah stood apart, checking her scope, her expression unreadable. The colonel walked over. "You're the one they're talking about?" She nodded that he studied her grip, her stance, her silence. Then he pointed toward a steel target far beyond the ridge, nearly 1,500 yards out, barely visible to the naked eye. "No one here's hit that one," he said. "Not even my top men. You up for it?" Leah didn't answer right away. Her hand brushed the rifle stock, feeling the grooves like old scars. The wind shifted, left to right. She tilted her head, reading it the way others read a language. Then, without a word, she lay prone in the dirt. Everyone watched. Even the desert seemed to hold its breath. She adjusted once, twice, then squeezed the trigger. The sound echoed across the range. Crack, followed by a delay, so long it felt eternal. Then, faint but unmistakable, ping. Direct hit. A murmur rippled through the crowd. Someone cursed under their breath. Someone else whispered, "No way." The colonel didn't move. His eyes stayed fixed on her, sharp and searching. Then, finally, he spoke, not to her, but to the others. "You laughed at her?" His voice was low, dangerous. "That's your mistake. You never laugh at quiet. Quiet kills." From that day, Leah wasn't just another trainee. She became the mystery no one could stop talking about. The colonel requested her personally for advanced evaluation, but not everyone liked it. Some of the recruits, the ones who'd mocked her most, started whispering again. She's got connections. She's showing off. Bet she's never seen real combat. Leah ignored them, at least on the outside. But at night, alone in her bunk, the old memories came back. The sand, the sound of gunfire, the face of a man she couldn't save. Because yes, she had seen combat. Years ago, under a different name. A mission that went wrong. A team that never made it home. She wasn't supposed to exist anymore. That's why she'd come here. To start over, to disappear into training programs, to find silence again. But the colonel saw through it. One afternoon, after the others had gone, he approached her quietly. Leah, he said, you weren't just a hobby shooter. I checked your file, or what's left of it. She froze. He went on, voice softer now. You were part of Operation Sablewind, weren't you? The one that never made the reports. For a moment, she said nothing. Then, I tried to forget. The colonel nodded. Sometimes forgetting is a luxury we don't get. That night, a storm rolled in, lightning flashing over the desert like artillery fire. The wind howled through the barracks. Leah lay awake, her mind a battlefield of memory and guilt. By dawn, something in her had shifted. The next morning, she walked into the colonel's office. Sir, she said, if you're still building your advanced unit, I want in. No hiding this time. The colonel smiled faintly. Then it's time they learned from you. Word spread fast. The quiet sniper was now the instructor. The same recruits who had once laughed now lined up to learn from her. Awkward, humbled, respectful. She didn't teach them with bravado or barked orders. She taught them with silence, with patience, with the rhythm of breathing and the weight of responsibility. Every bullet has a name, she told them once. If you don't understand that, you shouldn't pull the trigger. And slowly, something remarkable happened. The laughter that once filled the range turned into focus. Discipline, brotherhood, even the worst of them, the loudest skeptic, came to her one evening, hat in hand. I was wrong, he said. About you. Leah smiled. You were wrong about yourself too. You just didn't know it yet. Months later, during a live test in mountainous terrain, the team was pinned by sudden equipment failure. Visibility dropped. Communications cut out. Panic began to ripple through the recruits until they heard her voice over the radio. Calm. Steady. Remember your breath. Trust your training. They followed her tone like a compass. And one by one, they pulled through. When they made it back, soaked and shaking, the colonel met her at the edge of the landing zone. You saved them, he said simply. Leah shook her head. They saved themselves. I just reminded them how. In the months that followed, her legend spread, not as a myth, but as a lesson. Not about guns, but about grace under fire. Because she wasn't just teaching them to shoot. She was teaching them to see, to breathe, to respect the silence before the shot, the silence that decides everything. And somewhere, in that vast desert wind, it felt like her father's voice was still there. Breathing is your bullet, Leah. She smiled, finally at peace, because quiet doesn't mean weak. It means knowing when the world needs to listen, and sometimes, the ones they laugh at are the ones who end up leading the way. That if you felt something from Leah's story, tell me what part hit you the most, and don't forget to subscribe. There are more true, powerful stories waiting for you here.